Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the American Muscle Series. You join us now at Laguna Seca for the final round of Season 8. We are 11 races down, one more to go, a few championships left to decide. My name's Randall McGrew. I am joined in commentary by Andre Grandbouche, and we have Joshuah Wilkie in the virtual production trailer on the buttons and knobs. Andre, this is the quintessential track for sim racing. I mean, I can't think of a single game that's serious about racing except for maybe F1 that doesn't have its own version of Laguna Seca.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks that I feel like everybody's driven here on some video game or another. Everybody's probably seen a race here on TV, be it IndyCar, sports cars, anything else. Iconic track. You can't be a fan of motorsports and not have heard about Laguna Seca. The famous corkscrew, the kink corner leading up to it, that double left-hander at the end of the opening straightaway. It is just a ton of challenges that it's going to throw at these drivers, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's relatively cool conditions here today. Air temperature is sitting in the mid 60s. Track temperature all the way down to 85 degrees right now. We join the cars as they start their qualifying runs. They're now on their out laps. They do have 10 minutes to set free laps. You see, there we go, 66 degrees Fahrenheit air temperature. Easy for me to say. 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 29 degrees Celsius track temperature. So in practice, the track was about 10 to 15 degrees warmer. We'll see if this trend of cooling continues through the race, and if it does, we're going to see some really outstanding times out of these drivers. And you see there that run at the bottom of the hill, it looks really, really rubbered in. So a lot of practice going on. We got the sweepers out here between the sessions, so all the gravel temporarily removed from the circuit. It'll be brought back on here any moment now as drivers start to run off track. We'll get another sweep in before the race starts, but that rubber will stay down there. And I can tell you from experience, this Mustang prefers a track that's a little bit more green, so they're going to be losing a little bit of time just based off of amount that it's rubbered in, we're going to go on board with Luis Enriquez as he makes his way through the final corner, sets up his first flying lap. This first turn is actually this bend in this straightaway. They actually labeled this as turn 1, and it's easily flat out in just about every car I've driven here. So you want to just try to straighten this out as much as possible, bring that car over to the right-hand side, and then you got to set up for that Andretti hairpin. It's actually a double apex left-hander, and you need to get as close to those red curves as possible without touching them, and that's pretty much true everywhere on the track. You see him with a handful of opposite lock as he moves his way over to the left-hand side of the track to open up that entry to turn 3. A nice little short run here to turn 4. It's a bit of a mostly a lift, a bit of a dab of a brake before he turns in and gets there onto that apex, just right there to that red curb, and he's going to kick over onto the right-hand side of the track. You're going to have to get actually an early apex here, which is pretty rare in racing that you want to have an early apex, but you're going to use one there. You're apexing right before that red curb. Bring that car over to the right, and then the very fast turn 7 at the bottom of the hill. You got to get that absolutely right, or else it's going to crater your lap time. Then you're going to kind of wind your way over to the left, now back over to the right-hand side of the track. Brake as you come across the crest. Look for the crooked tree. That's your aim mark for that second apex as you drop down through the corkscrew, then into a rainy curve, which is always tricky to get right, especially if you don't get the corkscrew right. You have set up on the wrong side of the track. Bring the car back over to the left-hand side of the track. A very quick right-hander. There's the pit entry there on the left. We're going to move back over to the right. Going to break it about the 1.5 board. Get all of that curb that you can get on the inside. Let it run out. Use that green AstroTurf there on the outside to your advantage, and make the run down to the start-finish line to finish your flying lap. And that we'll see what that does here for Luis. So right now, that's going to provisionally put him on pole, 1:36.3. I expect those lap times will drop off pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I would expect they will as well. That was a great example lap showing off the difficulties these drivers are going to face. Enriquez still on the point. Luke Sudengay having a standout season. He's looking to end it strong. Currently P2, 4/10 off of the pole. Phil Keck, Taco Phil, makes an appearance. He's been in and out of the races this year, but he's here for the finale, currently sitting at P3. And I'll tell you what, look at that. We have a red plate. Freddie Weaver currently sitting P10.
Speaking of those red plates, we have some points to go over. We'll look at the Pro Division first. And I have to say, after that recovery run that Jack Sanchez had last week, he has managed to secure that Pro Division championship by about 5 points, if my calculations are right. Now, my calculations are not final. We'll get the final calculations after the race. So Jack Sanchez provisionally your season 8 pro champion. Luis Enriquez in second there with 419 points, and breathing down his neck, Luke Sudengay with 414 points. So we might see a shakeup for second and third. Fabian Zweyer a little bit far back to be able to have any influence on this podium fight, but that doesn't mean he's not going to give it a good try anyway. Then we'll jump over to the Challenger division, where we do have a championship up for grabs. Right now, Jeff Schnackle with 419 points over Ryan Campbell with 393 points. If Campbell gets 47 or more points in the Challenger division and Schnackle comes home with 21 or fewer points, Campbell can win this championship. However, Schnackle's minimum points is 21, so Campbell's going to have to finish in second place on track in the Challenger division, and that doesn't mean second place just in the division. He's got to have no cars between him and the Challenger winner to get 47 points. So Campbell's going to need to have a really good race here and hope that Schnackle does not have a good one, or else Schnackle's going to bring home the Challenger division. Matt Thompson is conspicuously absent due to some car issues in the grid state of Texas. So he will be sitting on 365 points to finish his season. No, he won't. He's going to get a drop week. He'll get some points, but it won't be enough for him to challenge Ryan Campbell for P2. Then we'll jump over to the amateur division, where we have a very similar situation. Freddie Weaver needs 47 or more points in the amateur division, and Dave Blair needs to get less than 34 points. So Freddie needs to have a good race and hope that Dave Blair does not have a good race in order to challenge for that amateur division title. And in the event that Freddie Weaver gets 46 points and Blair gets 34 or gets less than 34, they will tie, and then Dave Blair has the tiebreaker. So Dave Blair looks to be in a good position to bring home his first ever amateur division championship. Tom Wentz sitting there in third has had a really good season, he was up there challenging Dave for a while, but he has not had a good couple races, and he's dropped down a little bit. Freddie Weaver's been on the charge in the back half of the season. He does have a chance to win the championship here, but again, he's going to have a good race, and Blair's going to have a bad race. So these Challenger and Amateur Division championships still up for grabs, even if only just.
Yeah, it's going to be very close there. We'll have to wait and see what exactly shakes out. But as you said, on the pro side of things, not going to be so close. Jack Sanchez just had a phenomenal year. He was able to bring home the great finishes he needed and lock it up one race in advance. But as you said, pre-race, Randall, we're not sure he even knows he locked it up. So I wouldn't say that's going to impact how he drives tonight. I think he's still going to be giving it his all, wants to go out with the win, even if he did know. But as we are just a little ways away from the end of qualifying, Sanchez is going to jump to the number 1 spot. 1:35.572. It's a little bit blurry, can't quite rate it. I believe that is the time. So he's got a few tenths on Luis Enriquez, P2. Luke Sudengay still sitting 3rd. Evan Hoopchak, P4. Good effort for him. David Moore sitting 5th. And we've had an amateur be dethroned for the top. Freddie Weaver was the highest sitting amateur. Mark Cohn in that number 8. He's had some standout races. I know, Randall, there's been some talk about getting him bumped up as quick as we can next season out of that amateur division. And he's showing why. He is right up there with the pros.
Yeah, when they enter the league, when drivers enter this league, we really only have their iRating to go off of, and some drivers just don't do official races that much. So sometimes you'll get drivers that punch way over their iRating when they get on track. I know he's been putting in a lot of practice, so it's been showing for him. We have the inverse too. We have some drivers that have a really high iRating, and mostly because of other disciplines or other cars, and it just doesn't translate as well to the Mustang, and they're not as fast as their iRating shows. So we'll let them skate down, as it were, into a lower division after they've kind of displayed the lack of pace. We want everybody to race in a fair race for a fair championship in this league. So even if you're not at the very front of the pack, you still feel like you're racing for something and fighting for something. There are paid prizes for all 3 divisions this season. We don't always have enough to pay all 3 divisions, but we did have enough this season. So money up for grabs in all 3 divisions. There is a clean driver championship going on, I should note really quickly. Right now in the amateur division, Dave Blair is going to win the clean driver championship no matter what happens tonight. He is unchallenged there. He is leading by a mile on the clean driver board. Aaron Bray is winning in the challenger division. He's also going to be unchallenged tonight. But in the pro division, Brandon Brush leads the way, and there are 3 other drivers that are within reach. Jack Sanchez, Luke Sudengay, and Dave Moore all have the chance to get the clean driver championship. And the clean driver championship is more than just bragging rights. You get $20 for that. That's an entry fee for next season, or for this season, a refund. So if you're a clean racer, you get to race for free around here.
Yeah, I always like the idea of that. I've seen a few leagues over the years do back in the NASCAR world, they used to have the Mr. Clean Good Hand, the Mr. Clean Award, and then they did the All-State Good Hands Award. It was 2 different things. And some internet iRacing leagues have kind of done similar things, but I feel like in this league, you almost have a tough time picking out the cleanest driver because, again, the caliber of driver here is so high. You see a lot of great clean racing, and 3 drivers up in contention for it, so we'll see how it shakes out. We do have the starting grid for the season finale here at Laguna Seca. Jack Sanchez going to take the pole, 1:35.572. He had a whole 2 tenths over Luis Enriquez in that number 6 machine P2. Jay Bast is looking Jay fast in 3rd place. Luke Sudengay going to be P4. Evan Hoopchak is going to take 5th for himself, and if you look back to 6th, that's going to be David Moore. Taylor Belmont had a great season, a rookie to the league this year. He's going to start his final race of the season, P7. Mark Cohn, the standout amateur, going to be P8. P9 and 10 going to Jeff Schnackle, first challenger on the grid, and Andrew Bailing, P10.
P11, Taco Phil Keck making a rare appearance this season here in the final race. Chuck Labama going to start next to him in P12. P13, David Finch, and alongside of him, Neil Kimp in that number 99 entry. Starting in 15th, Charlie Hosey. 16th is going to be Edgar Sanchinelli. No custom paints this week for the Frito Sport team. Unfortunately, the school bus has been parked. P17, Levi Powell. P18, Mr. Clean for the Challenger Division, Aaron That Face Bray. P19, Ryan Campbell. 20th, Freddie Weaver.
And looking outside of the positions there, looks like 21st going to be Jeff Andrus, Brandon Smith going to be P22, Matthew Gazenda 23rd, and Scott Brooks going to be 24th. Dave Blair finds himself in 25th, Samuel Stoner takes 26th, Mike Neekum going to roll off 27th, Jeff Bernard going to be P28, Tom Went to 29th, and Jay Little going to be P30.
Rounding out the rest of the field, 31st, Stephen Price, Sean Johnson in 32nd, Mark Royce in 33rd, 34th, Eli Kloft in 35th and 36th. Those couple drivers aren't really driving. We had some issues being able to spectate. We had to actually register. Then 37th, 38th, Joe Sacchetti and Matt Best, the best Matt. I thought Matt was going to be taking this 9 off, so he's decided to race after all. We got about 30 seconds before Barney will start waving that green flag, and we'll be underway for the final race here at Laguna Seca. Get ready. Get ready, Andre. This could get really hairy.
Yeah, the first lap's going to be fun. The corkscrew is going to be quite the challenge when everybody is as close together as they're going to be all night long. Even that kink corner leading into the corkscrew really narrows up, and it can be a bit of a trouble spot when you're in traffic. So I think if we can get through this first lap, it'll be all right. They're going to get a little bit of separation. We'll be good to go, but it's going to be one heck of an opener as we are sitting on the green waiting for those lights to go out to get the final race of this season underway. It's going to be...
Barney's got that green flag in hand. We're hearing the engines revving, and away they go. We're underway here. Did not get a display of the lights this time. That's okay. Jack Sanchez with a good launch. It looks like he's going to lead the way into turn 1 on the preferred line. Luis going to challenge on the outside. The second phase of acceleration had a really good burst out of Luis. They're going to go 3 wide behind possibly. Nope, they end up sorting it out and go 2 wide. They are 3 wide, a little bit further back, but so far so good through turn 2 as they make their way down to turn number 3. The track really starts to narrow up here, and the racing line gets very tight. There's not a lot of room for error. These drivers need to really sort it out, get into single file formation as quickly as they can, or they're going to start losing lots of time. We see back here in the mid pack and towards the rear, still racing 2 wide as they make their way through turn 4. Jack Sanchez leads the way into turn 5. He gets that good early apex there that we talked about in the lap guide, as Jeff Schnackle's going to challenge Evan Hoopchak along the outside. They really need to sort this out. They got their elbows out as they try to get in single file. They're going to go 2 wide through this kink. Yes, they are. A bit of a forearm shiver there from Evan Hoopchak to Jeff Schnackle. He's able to wrangle it. Bit of a brake check behind them. It really bunches the field back up, and Hoopchak's going to drive away. But behind them, it's going to be chaos as they go 2, possibly 3 wide into the corkscrew.
Yeah, this onboard shot's going to be something. Look at this, cranking on the steering wheel, a little bit of dust getting kicked up, but somehow going to make it through. And boy, that corkscrew single filed them out for the most part, but a couple of those drivers having some issues back there. Looks like Sanders going to be in the sand, ironically, having to take a bit of a slowdown. But one driver going off is better than I thought we were going to have. So those guys did a phenomenal job.
Looked like Jeff Andrews, maybe he just got caught a little bit on the outside there and shoved off the track. It didn't look like he had heavy front end damage. It looked like the result of a side impact. As Luis Enriquez is going to bring the challenge to Jack Sanchez once again on the outside of turn 2. Normally not the fastest way around here. It looks like he's going to end up losing a position to Jay Bast, who is looking hungry for his first win. We're not seeing Jay Bast this far out in the lead, towards the lead front yet. So Jay's got his elbows out, ready to take it to Luis, and he does get the move done eventually. Possibly, no, Luis is going to fight back on the inside, and Luis is going to have a big slide. He manages to catch the car, get it pointed in the right direction, and doesn't come back across the flow of traffic. So Luis, with his hands full early in this race, he's going to have to take a few corners a little bit easy to let those tires cool off. Jay Bass moves his way up to second. Right now, Jack Sanchez has a 1.6 second lead very early in this race. We're getting another look here at this battle as they go through turn 4, and you can see Luis was loose even before he got to the curb.
Yeah, he was extremely loose, somehow gathered it up, and that's going to open the door for Luke Sudengay and Taylor Ballant to work their way by. And now Enriquez got a little bit of catch up to play here. and he is sticking right with him on that rear bumper, through the corkscrew, through the left-hander, now down into the heavy braking zone, and it looks like he's got the pace, just made a bit of a mistake. That has been the story of the last few races, I think, for Henriquez. He's been really fast, but he's kind of had to play chase. He's not been too dominant, not really getting out in clean air, just battling it out with these leaders time in and time out. Meanwhile, for second place, they are going to go side by side. Jay Bass thought he was going to take a look at Sudengay, but as they go into the corner, it looks like Taylor Ballant going to dive into the bottom. He saw the door open and went on through. That's going to put him onto the podium. P3. Jay Bass moving it down a position as a result. Now here is, looks like Charlie Hosey in a bit of a battle here with Freddie Weaver, I believe. And off the track. Oh boy.
Levi Powell there in the background.
Yeah, going for a bit of a ride there through the sand. But Levi able to get that thing gathered back up. Didn't even really lose that much time. He's going to stick with these cars ahead. And Charlie Hosey, he said himself in the Discord, Randall, really struggling this season. Not the Charlie Hosey we're used to seeing. Not sure if it's down to the car, not sure if it's down to changes in the sim, but he's shown up every week regardless. He's powered through and still putting up results that could be considered really, really phenomenal when he's able to keep that car clean, not get caught up in any incidents. But either way, trying to get inside that top 10, very close. But either way, this is the great mid-pack battling that we expect to see here in this league. And again, two of these championships still potentially up for grabs, the Challenger and the Amateur. So the racing is going to stay intense all night long.
Yeah, Freddie Weaver, we saw him get that move done on Levi Powell, and now Levi gets that move back done on him, so gets that spot back. Freddie Weaver looking very racy, much more racier than normal. He's got to make his way up to Mark Cohn if he wants to have any chance to win this championship. So he really is trying to work his way up to Mark, or hope that Mark has some sort of problem here on the pit stop possibly. So Freddie trying to be as racy as possible. So we're going to take it back here a look at Eli Clough, Sam Stoner, Scott Brooks, Jay Little, Tom Wendt, Mike Nickum, a big gaggle of cars back here with Dave Blair leading the way in this log jam. Not sure what really caused these guys to back up, but I had to suspect maybe there was a big check up in the corkscrew that caused this group to kind of fall away from the drivers ahead and bunch up the way that they have. But they seem to got it worked out. I don't really see any damage on anybody. Look, here we go. Is it Sam Stoner and Dave Blair going to fight too wide into turn 7? And that's just not a really good place to go for a fight. Eli Clough maybe gets a move done there into turn 7, but they're going to be too wide all the way up the hill and looking to go 3 wide. Scott Brooks is kind of deciding which line he wants to go with as they make their way into the corkscrew. Eli gets onto the brakes rather late there. What a move up into the corkscrew. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Yes, he does. So he makes a very opportunistic move and gets the 2-for-1 special there, it looks like.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal move to pick up 2 positions right there. Following along with Eli Clough in that 24th. They're going to be bumper to bumper through this kink corner and down, heading towards the corkscrew, this uphill section, which can limit visibility. That is something to keep in mind. The drive into the corkscrew is kind of tough to judge. Going uphill, not always able to tell exactly where the corner is approaching or what is going on ahead of you. But so far, they've all done a great job. Stefan Price in 32nd in that 103. All the way back in 32nd and still engaged in battles front and back. This goes to show in this league, it doesn't matter where you are, you will never be safe. The competition is tight. The competition is phenomenal. Down on the straightaway now, Brandon Smith in 21st. Trying to make a move here, getting down on the inside into this double left-hander. And this corner right here, Randall, every time, you said everybody who's played a racing game has probably raced here. Well, I've raced here in a lot of video games, and it does not matter what the physics model is. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is. That first corner is always a challenge for me. Judging the braking zone, judging the amount of speed you carry into the second apex, it's really tough. What do you think about this track? What's your most difficult section?
Well, that's got to be probably the most difficult corner to get right. The kink is pretty easy to get right once you figure it out. It's just being brave enough to be back on the throttle by the time you get to the apex. The Andretti hairpin, always a challenge to get right and be able to be quick doing it. Luis has moved his way back up into 4th. Taylor Ballant in front of him in P3. We're going to see maybe what happened here with one of these drivers. Taylor Ballant running wide, going to be chewing up some gravel, bringing it back out on track, keeps his foot in it pretty well, and doesn't lose a whole lot of time to Luke Sudengay, but it does bring him back to Luis Henriquez. So Luis going to be looking to get this move done here pretty quickly so they can try to close that gap back up to Luke Sudengay. But if you look in front of Sudengay, Jack Sanchez has said, "See you later, boys. You guys keep fighting for P2. I'm just going to drive off here."
Yeah, he is just going to try to put the gap on him here. And, you know, with the mistakes that were made, we did see Taylor Ballant going off the track all the way up into the sand, having a near moment there. But that's going to cause separation among these leaders. We have a very early taker down pit road, 2 very early takers down pit road, 8 minutes into this event. Not sure if this is drivers serving penalties or just trying to get some fresh tires early and get the jump on these guys. We'll have to wait and see. Taco Phil.
I can tell you that this is indeed a drive-through penalty for Eli Clough for a lap 1 incident. I'm not exactly sure where that incident took place. We did see Mark Royce come in for service. This is one of those tracks, though, that you can save a lot of fuel on. You can be pretty thrifty on fuel usage here and make the pit window, the pit stop, pretty short. So not a surprise to see somebody come in this early for regular service. Mark Royce potentially can go the rest of the distance off of just this stop, but indeed we do have that 1 penalty for Eli Clough. He had to serve that drive-through penalty. That's going to really put a damper on his race after that really bonsai move into the corkscrew. It erases all of his good work.
Yep, it definitely could. Unfortunate to see that penalty for Eli Clough there. But with this track opening up the pit window and allowing these guys to take different strategies, it's going to give us something to keep track of and just see where these guys cycle out. That is very early for Mark Royce and a couple other drivers to make their way down. But it'll be a while. It'll be at least 10 minutes, maybe more, before we see Jack Sanchez, Sudengay, all those drivers come down pit road. 2 seconds going to be the differential between Sanchez and Sudengay. So a big walk away right now for the lead. But behind him, the battling does not cease. Luis Henriquez, Jay Bass, Evan Hoopchok, these boys very close together. And this group of cars right here with Phil Keck at the tail end of it. You got Chuck Labano in the middle, and Mark Cohn in the 239 right up front. These guys have been nose to tail pretty much every time we've checked in on them, and they have been very close in pace. I think just being a little patient here. I feel like maybe they could get aggressive, go for some overtakes, but at this point, we've got 30 minutes of racing left. Why even bother? Just fall in line, see if you can't make some pace. And you know, some drivers I know prefer to be the cat in the situation. I've always been more of a chaser, never so much out front. But speaking of chasing, here he comes, Phil Keck on the outside, gonna try to send it deep into the corkscrew. If he can stay on the outside, he'll have the advantage here, and he does. I cannot believe he made that thing stick. He drove it in about 30 feet deeper. Not going to get clear, though. They're going to stay side by side. Chuck Labano going to run him up to the curb. Say, hey, if you want to get around me, you got to use the entire track. And Phil is trying to do that. Oh, my goodness. It's not over yet. Now Chuck Labano with the advantage here on the bottom lane. Drives it in deep. Phil's got to go way to the outside. And Labano defends the position. Nearly half a lap side by side. What a battle.
Absolutely stellar defense out of Chuck Labano here, defending his position in the top 10. You see Phil coming pretty hot on the corkscrew, but he makes it stick on the outside. He makes it stick on the second apex on the inside. Chuck able to hang tough here, and in the next corner where Phil has the inside, I want you to watch how much Chuck Labano pinches him down at the apex and keeps him from getting back to that throttle and pushing the car back to the outside. Really killed his momentum and allowed Chuck to stay alongside for this final corner, where it's really advantageous to have that inside line. So Chuck going to retain that position. An excellent pinching maneuver there in the right-hander that really sealed that deal and kept him in that position. So we're going to see if he's able to keep fending off of Phil Keck or not. Phil running in the top 10 in 10th position. Chuck Labano in the top 10. We don't see him in the top 10 very often here lately, having a really great race so far and looking to keep himself in that top 10. Mark Cohn right ahead of him, leading the amateur division, and in front of Mark Cohn, Jeff Schnackel leading the challenger division. 2 names we're very used to hearing leading those divisions, and neither one of them will be in that division for much longer, for just about another 28 minutes actually. We're serving lap 8. This will definitely be a 25 lap race. We're looking at 24.93 laps right now, according to my calculations. And we still have to do a pit stop, and the pit stop time, the pit stop delta here, pretty quick. So we will be doing 25 laps. Luke Sudengate trying to track down Jack Sanchez. That gap is 2.4 seconds, and it's stayed relatively static so far. So Sudengate, once he got clear of the battle for second, has been able to keep that gap from getting any bigger. He's trying to close it down as much as he can. We'll see if he's able to get any of that back on the pit stop. I did watch Jack Sanchez attacking that pit entry in practice, so we know that as long as he doesn't get a speeding penalty, he should be pretty quick. I am seeing Bailing and another driver. I'm trying to see who that is in the pit lane right now. So we do have some other early takers coming into pit lane. Scott Brooks is the other driver that is in pit lane. So we're seeing a few drivers come in early, maybe to get a little bit of damage repaired as well as getting your regular service. And yeah, that looks like a hefty lick on the barrier there for Andrew Bailing, and that's really going to ruin his race. He's definitely getting some repairs. He's stopped for a long time, so not a scheduled stop, but still one within the pit window. We'll start seeing that pit lane get a bit more busy as the race goes on, but right now there's still 26 minutes left in this race. They're going to probably see most of these drivers stretch it out just a little bit longer. Ryan Campbell there in P14 trying to make his way up to Jeff Schnackle, but Jeff Schnackle is pretty much got that trophy in hand with the way he's racing right now. As we're watching Freddie Weaver try to get his way back around Levi Powell, going through the corkscrew right hot on the tail of Levi Powell in that Challenger Division car. Charlie Hosey up ahead trying to drive away from these two, but it looks like not being all that successful. This group has kind of been pretty static once Levi got back around Freddie. So seeing some good pace out of some of these drivers, but not seeing a lot of action for overtakes for position. We're seeing a lot of spread in the field right now. This is one of those tracks that will spread out the field pretty quickly. It's not a slipstream dependent track, but it is one of those tracks where either you're really good at it or you're really not.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of in between, and it makes sense. There's really not a lot of tracks like Laguna Seca. I mean, there is a lot of very unique elements to the circuit, and for some people it's going to click right away. They're going to get this thing figured out, and other drivers, it just doesn't. You know, it's too different, too unique. Definitely, I've always struggled here. As fun as I think this track is, I love driving it, but I've never been good here. Oh my goodness, Jay Bass hit that curb at about Mach 1. That thing, if that was real life, he may be having some suspension issues, but luckily the sim decided that his car is going to be okay, and that is one of the challenges of this track. But either way, Jay Bast is one of those drivers that seems to have had this place click with him, Randall, because this has been one of the best showings we have seen out of that number 53 in a few weeks. We know Jay's good. I've seen him run up front numerous times before, but you know, he's been in a bit of a slump lately, and maybe this is the track he needed to get him out.
Absolutely. And the other thing about this track is so many people are good at this track that once you lose time, it's nearly impossible to gain it back. So every time you give up a 10th in a fight, a 10th here, a 10th there, it adds up, and it's really hard to close it back down. Once you get towards the more competitive end of this field, as we see this battle going on, Levi Powell on the inside of Charlie Hosey. Is he going to get this move down? They're going to be going 3 wide down the straightaway as Freddie Weaver gets a good run off of the last corner. Hosey's going to be able to cover off Levi there. Levi's going to fall into the clutches of Freddie Weaver, who's going to have the inside for turn 2, the Andretti hairpin. Let's see if he can make good on this move to see how much Levi tries to pinch him down. Levi's going to run rather wide. He's going to be very at risk of running off the track here at the get off the corner. He manages to keep it on the curb, though. But Freddie Weaver gets that spot away from him again as we see Ed Santinelli pulling out of the pits. Let's take a look at that pit stop time, 13.4 seconds. So a nice long pit stop for Ed. We'll see how that compares to everybody else once we start seeing some more traffic on pit lane. We're seeing some battle shake up, and Luke is going to prove me wrong every time I try to open my mouth about something. He had closed that gap down to Jack Sanchez to about 1.8 seconds. It's sitting at 2 seconds now. We see some of these stricken cars on a pit lane. Jack Sanchez has given up a little bit of time to Luke Sudengate, so Luke has been able to find something where Jack has been leaving it. Maybe Jack doing a little bit of fuel saving too, could be giving up some tenths in order to gain some time in that pit stop. We saw Mike Neekum coming out of the pit exit there, and he was stopped for nearly 15 seconds. So Right now, Ed Santinelli with that 13.5-second pit stop is looking pretty snappy. Luke Sudengay comes over the crest of the hill trying to track down Jack Sanchez. That gap staying at about 2 seconds for now. We'll see if it alters anymore. I mean, I think maybe it was just one little mistake out of Jack. Gave up a couple tenths to Luke, and now he smells blood in the water.
Yeah, Luke Sudengay, ever since he got that win, it has just been a completely different Luke. It is, he's gone from somebody that was contending for top 10s and top 5s to somebody that week in and week out, you think, yeah, he might win. In fact, he probably is going to win tonight. And you don't think that way about too many drivers, right? There's only a few drivers. You go in every week, and it doesn't matter what track it is or where we're at. You think, oh yeah, he's got a shot to win. Well, he's one of them now, and it's been a great improvement. And if he can reel in Jack Sanchez and end the season off on that high note, that'll be great. But either way, as far as I'm concerned, he's got nothing left to prove. If he reaches him, if he doesn't, it's been a phenomenal year. But Sanchez also probably thinking a little bit about the long term here. He's got a good lead. He can set the pace of the race. He doesn't necessarily need to be all out right now. He can allow Luke Sudengay to close in. He can give up a few tenths here or there and save the tires in doing so. Save the tires, save the car, keep it in good condition, and then use it up later. Because the long run has been something that Sanchez has kind of had a love-hate relationship with. Sometimes he's really good on the long run, and other times we've seen him burn up too much fuel. We've seen him burn up the tires, and I don't know which Jack we have tonight, Randall. It could be the long run. It could be the one that burns up tires. We don't know.
Well, I can tell you from experience, once Jack gets into clean air the way he is right now, as we see another big slide out of Luis Enrique as he manages to catch the car once again. Luis is very familiar with driving on the edge and is always pushing the limit with this car as we see him sliding once again. But he's got the hands of a gunfighter, this Luis Enriquez does. Always able to catch the car, quick hands, never really overcorrects, does just enough. So his familiarity with the limit and pushing that limit has really kept him from wrecking the car where lesser drivers would have definitely ended up in the tire barriers. We see him with another handful of opposite lock there coming off of turn 5. Actually, I've been calling this turn 7 all night. I think this might be turn 6. I'll have to consult the track map, actually. Yeah, that's actually turn 6. I've been calling it turn 7 all night. So I've been one off, like I am most of the time, just a little bit off. So we're gonna watch him go through the corkscrew. Now, with that car right in front of you, you can't see that crooked tree, but if you line yourself up from that first apex with that crooked tree, you'll know that you're gonna be dead on for that second apex. That's what most people look at. But when you have the big old Mustang of Taylor Ballant in front of you, it's gonna be hard to see. He still manages to get it done though, because he's all over Ballant's case right now. Not looking to go for a move yet, but definitely letting him know that he's there. There might have been a little bumper touch there, but you see him getting a lot of opposite lock on exit, so he's not shy getting to the throttle and using that throttle to turn the car through the rest of the corner.
No, and the amount of times that we've seen Luis Enriquez get sideways tonight, I'm a little bit concerned for his long run pace, because he's putting heat cycles through those tires. He's flat spotting them. It is not going to do him any favors later on in this race the way he's driving right now. I mean, he's pushing the heck out of this car, and that full lock in the opposite direction, he's doing that in a lot of these corners. And it is a lot of wear and tear. You got to be smooth, you got to be careful, and at this point, again, the Pro Championship has pretty much been locked up. You're just racing for pride, you're racing for the fun of it, and you want to go out with the best result possible. And sometimes that means being just a little bit patient, but who knows? Oftentimes I say something, these drivers make it a point to prove me wrong, so we'll see if Luis Enriquez is actually the fastest on the long run. Pit road getting a little bit busier. We are just over halfway through the event here at Laguna Seca. Jack stand does go up on that machine, so some drivers opting for tires. That is Stefan Price, I believe, taking tires, and no, it was Jay Little, I apologize, in the 196. So that's interesting, Randall, because a lot of tracks we go to, the drivers say, nah, we can't get heat in the tires fast enough to make it worth it to take them. Do you think there might be something that's changed that here? Or are we just seeing a bit of a throw everything at it kind of situation?
If any track's going to put heat into the right sides, it's going to be Laguna Seca, so I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue for him. Dave Moore, also, we saw him come out of the pits. He was stopped for, speaking of cold tires there, he's running a little bit wide there on the pit exit. That's going to cost him some time. We saw Dave Moore come into the pit lane. He's back out now in 22nd position. He was only stopped for 10.3 seconds. So we're going to provisionally earmark him for the Thompson Trophy for fuel management, as Jay Little's going to let Mark Royce go by him. But yeah, keep your eyes on Dave Moore. He might have been saving fuel. He may not have been. He may have been under fueling there, and he might have to do a little bit of fuel saving now. Or he might have to come in for a splash and go. We'll have to keep an eye on him. But right now, he's the furthest up of anybody that's pit. He was near or in the top 10 when he pit. Now he's in 22nd position. So finds himself back there with Dave Blair, the provisional championship winner for the amateur division, if things shake out the way they are now. So we'll see if anybody else comes in very soon. But right now, he's kind of the lone wolf, X-Wolf, as he's known on X-Wolf is his name on Twitch. The lone X-Wolf right now out of the lead groups or the faster cars that come into the pits. As we're going to see, Jay Bass is going to be trying to get around Taylor Blant, which means that Luis Henriquez has managed to get past Taylor Blant, but he's going to have Evan Hubchak all over him. But he is on the case right now of Blant. He is all over him like a homicide detective. We're going to see this move into the final corner as Mike Neekum decides to pull out of the way. He is one lap down, and Luis is going to be very opportunistic there. And you were talking about him having just to race for fun or for pride. I can tell you, nobody out here has more fun than Luis Enriquez. This guy, even if he's elbows deep in a championship fight, he's out here for fun first and foremost. So always great to race with Luis, and good to see him getting some moves done here on track as he gets around Taylor Blant in a very spooky situation from his cockpit.
Yeah, that was a scary situation for sure. I think he might need a new fire suit after that one, but definitely, you're right about Luis. It seems like he's just got such a good spirit. I remember when he got disconnected just a few feet prior to the start-finish line, he would have won the race. Absolutely devastating, especially when a win in this league means so much. And the next week, he was like, it happens. I wanted to win. Like, it made me want to win this week more, but he didn't seem that upset about it. And he just has fun with it. You're absolutely right. And I think that's true for a lot of these guys. The atmosphere here is obviously very competitive, but at the end of the day, they're here to have fun. They want to unwind. They want to race some Mustangs after a long day of work, and they have the opportunity to do so, and they got a great place to do it. So pit road getting a few more takers. Tom went in the 228 in what I believe is a new-ish paint scheme for Mr. Went. He's going to pull out and cycle out into traffic here. For once, Randall, I think these guys have it easy. We've had a lot of very convoluted pit road entries and exits this season, a lot of interesting track choices. Very straightforward pit road here, though. They can kind of get in and out and not worry too much about it. They even cycle out after the first corner, so they don't have to worry about getting in anybody's way going in. So, not too bad.
But it is going to spit him out right into the path of the leader, Jack Sanchez. So traffic could start playing a bit of a role here in this race for the lead, as Jack Sanchez is going to be starting to catch some lap traffic from some of these early pitters. Now, if you're in Jack Sanchez's car, you got to think maybe this is the time to pit away from this traffic, as we see Chuck Labano and Ryan Campbell both in for service now. Matthew Gazinda pulling in as well. So we starting to see a bit more traffic. Sam Stoner is going to join this trio as Chuck Labano and Ryan Campbell are both pulling away from their pit stalls and going to rejoin this race. But yeah, the traffic for Jack Sanchez, you got to think he's going to be looking to pit away from some of this traffic. And if he doesn't, Luke Sudengay should definitely consider doing so. He might be able to gain a bit of a windfall on lap time just by coming in and getting away from some of that traffic.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he can get away from them. That'd be a big help. But I do think traffic is going to be a big part because, like you said earlier in the race, Randall, some drivers are going to be really good here. It clicks for a few of these guys, and some guys are going to be not so good. So it will separate the field. The more separation we have, the higher a probability of just a consistent conveyor belt of traffic that they're going to have to deal with now. Jack Sanchez, really aggressive on pit road entry. He was even apexing the pit road entry. It goes to show how serious he is taking it right now. Down into his pit stall. He's going to get that number one machine serviced out and away. That's going to hand the lead over to Luke Sudengay. Evan Hubchak moving to P2, and Luis Henriquez, he saw Sanchez come down pit road. He said, I'm going to follow you down. So did Jay Bass, as well as Taylor Ballant, Jeff Schnackle, 239 machine coming down pit road. It is a busy place.
All the top 10 except for Luke Sudengate came into pit this lap, so all of them deciding they didn't want to deal with the traffic. Sudengate thinking maybe he could get one more lap out of it, hoping that the overcut plays out in his favor. We'll see if he's able to get that, as we got a bit of a race of Jay Bass and Taylor Blant trying to go too wide into the pit exit, and that's just not going to work. Jay Bass has to back out. I thought for maybe a second there that he had gotten contact with the wall, but no, it looks like the car is clean. So a big race off of pit lane. Phil Keck coming out. Here's Neil Kemp making his way through the pit exit. We see Chuck Labano entering turn 2 in the background, and we're going to have some traffic here at the pit exit. Chuck Labano going to have the preferred line here on Dave Finch, but Dave going to have a good run. Is he going to be able to hang on the outside? Does not look like he's going to be able to. So Chuck Labano going to get that spot away from Dave Finch. We'll see how all this shakes out and where Chuck ends up. He was in the top 10 early in the race. We see Charlie Hosey coming out of pit lane, waiting for Luke Sudengate to come into the pit lane. There he comes right now, Luke Sudengate into the pits, and I'm looking at these these pit stop times. Dave Moore definitely earmarked for that Thompson Trophy. He's going to be needing to save some fuel, as we're seeing even some of the lap traffic that Luke was going to have to be dealing with coming into pit lane. Evan Hoopchak also out of the top 10 did not pit, so he and Sudengate both in the pit lane now. We'll keep an eye on the left side of the track as Jack Sanchez approaches turn 2 to see where Luke Sudengate is at in the pit exit. He's still stationary in the box. It looks like not rolling yet. So if he's not rolling by now, yeah, I think he's going to lose this race off pit lane. Jack Sanchez should handily keep this position as he blows down the straightaway through turn 1 and will be well ahead by the time he gets to turn 2. The pit exit is a shorter path, but it's not that much shorter. Jack Sanchez easily going to retain the lead here, and it looks like maybe even gain some time on the pit cycle, as he's going to have what's nearly a 3-second gap back to Luke Sudengate after the pit cycle. Louis going to have a challenge here for P3, so Evan Hoopchak able to move up a couple spots through pit strategy, and he's going to be all over the back bumper of the number 6 of Luis Henriquez, now challenging for the podium.
He is right there, riding on board so we can get a front row seat to this battle. We're seeing what Evan is seeing down into the corner. The brake lights come on. They're going to get down onto that curb. You got to be really careful of the turtles on these curbs in the middle. As we saw with Jay Bass earlier, they can really throw your car for a loop, and you can't really afford that on a track as narrow and tricky as this circuit tends to be. Hoopchak going to be pretty much even through that portion of the track, not really gaining, not really losing. We'll see how it shakes out through the corkscrew. They got Taylor Ballant, Jay Bass right behind. Jay Bass trying to break back into the top 5 where he was earlier tonight. Good line through there, but not really going to gain too awful much. Henriquez spearheading this pack of cars, and there is Jeff Schnackle just a little bit behind these guys, having a pretty good race back in P7, although he is going to have some pressure, I think, from Mark Cohn. I believe he is gaining a little bit here and there, and if that trend continues, we may have a battle on our hands for that P7 position. Again, Mark Cohn been a really great rookie season for that driver, coming out of the gates absolutely swinging. Let's see how he can finish off his season down the straightaway. There is a little bit of slipstream you can gain. The straightaway is long enough that it does have a bit of an effect, although the rest of this track is so twisty and turny that it's really the only place you're going to be feeling it. Here is David Finch. This battle continues. We checked in on these guys a few moments ago, and now, once again, riding on board with Finch. Chuck Labano up ahead. Take a shot every time you see a battle involved with Chuck Labano. We've seen about, 20 of those tonight. He has been in the thick of it for sure, but having a blast, I'm sure. Going a little bit wide, that's going to open the door. David Finch down to the bottom into this right-hander. He may have it.
And it looks like he will get the move done, as Dave Finch going to move up to P11, demote Chuck Labano down to P12, and Labano's going to have his hands full with Ryan Campbell almost immediately. Campbell's going to take the inside there at turn 5 and going to have the inside run up to turn 6. Are they going to sort this out, or are they going to go too wide through turn 6? Who's got the bigger pair on them as they come into turn 6? And they both got a pretty big pair. I'm surprised they fit both of them through there, but it looks like Campbell is going to come out with that position. So a bad lap here for Chuck Labano, giving up two positions in a handful of corners. And we are just about to finish lap 20 as Labano is going to fight back on the outside here. If he can hang tough on the outside, he will have the inside for the next corner, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. He's going to have to fall back in line. We are about to start lap 21 of what is definitely going to be a 25 lap race. So 5 laps to go for Jack Sanchez leading the way here. He does have a 2.5 second gap. That gap is getting a little bit smaller. Sudenga's found some pace here. So that he's lost about a second of that gap that he had, about 8/10, 9/10. So maybe some traffic playing a role here. And he's got more traffic ahead. So he's got to have Mike Neekum, Jeff Bernard, Jay Little that they're coming up onto. So lap traffic could play a big role. Luke Sudengay got the bit in his teeth trying to close that gap. He's got 5 laps to get it done, or about 4.5 laps now. It does have enough time to make that move or make that gap disappear and then try to make a move on the inside. We're going to see this is Sean Johnson having a little bit of an issue possibly. We're going to see him coming out. This is making his way down to turn number 5, I think. Or no, this is the final corner. No, it is turn 5. He's just going to roll off to the outside and park it there, and just hanging up for the day. I don't think I want to race anymore, boys.
No, and we did see him on pit road for a little over 10-15 minutes, I believe, earlier. So he wasn't really in it for any additional points or position. Just kind of, like you said, hanging out and maybe just had enough fun for one night. He's gonna maybe park it and watch these boys finish their race. Only got about 6 minutes remaining, so hard to believe we are this far into the race. I feel like this one has flown by as we are watching the leader continue to really make his path here. But I'll tell you what, this is interesting, Randall. Look at that interval. It was 4 seconds when Luke Sudengay came out of pit road. It is down to 1.2. There is a ton of traffic in front of Jack Sanchez. Sudengay picking up the pace. This has the makings for a potential battle for the lead.
Absolutely does. We see Nakum getting out of the way there. He's going to just get out of the way there before turn number 4 and letting these leaders fight it out. But these two leaders have really broken away. Luis Enriquez is nearly 5 seconds back from Sudengay, and Sudengay just seems to be picking up the pace here in the closing stages. Now Sanchez is going to be held up by Bernard. This is not a place where you can really get out of the way or get around a lap traffic car very easily. He's going to have to check up a little bit there on the exit of turn 7. We'll see with Bernard. It backs out any or not. No, he's not going to be able to. He's not going to play fair. He is going to play fair. He's going to make Sudengay work for it, and he is going to send it up the inside. He's like, I am getting this move done. I need to close down to this leader. Sudengay going for it here. He's already got 3 wins this season. He wants to make it 4.
Yeah, he is going to try to add another one to the notch in the belt, but it's going to be tough. This traffic is not just an obstacle for Jack Sanchez, as we saw through the corkscrew. I think it actually slowed Sudengay down more than the leader, and this battle continuing as well. Chuck Labano, my guy, you cannot get away from these other drivers. You have been battling all night long, and it's always right here in the corkscrew. He has had to go side by side so many times tonight. At this point, I think he has figured out that outside line better than anybody, just because he's been forced to run it, and now he is going to get on the bumper of that 181 machine. Not quite going to be enough. They're both going to get sideways. Hey, if both of us make a mistake, neither of us did. The gap doesn't change a bit. They're going to stay bumper to bumper. A little bit of slipstream for Chuck. He's going to get down to the bottom, slightly shorter line through this kink. Now to the quarter panel, deeper into the braking zone. I think Chuck might finally have him here. Oh my goodness, what a battle this has been. I think, yeah, he is going to get clear in that chromatic gold machine. But for how long? Because that 181 is fighting back. He's not letting them get away. He closes in through that right-hander. Let's see what he does through this corner. Can he hit the apex? He takes a wider entry. Gets a little bit of the curve there on the bumper. It seems like this is the part of the track Chuck is just a little bit slower at. He struggles now to the quarter panel once again. The
he's going to run wide.
Oh, buddy. Hold on to it.
A bit of a panic break in there out of Ryan Campbell there. He started to push out wide and had to really get on the binders to get control of that car. That gives the momentum back to Labano, but this fight is not over yet. Currently serving lap 23. They're going to be coming to 2 to go this time by. And Chuck is going to be losing some weight after this race. The way he's having to work for it, he's got a bit of a push there, possibly a little bit of contact between those drivers. It was purely incidental. It looked like Ryan Campbell maybe got a little deep there into the corkscrew, but Lobano going to have a bit of a breather here for a couple corners. But I think it's going to be going away pretty soon. I think Campbell will be fighting back in this battle of the paint jobs. Each drivers running very similar paint jobs, just in very different colors. So we'll see who comes out on top in this. That gap up front, Luis is about 5 seconds back from Luke Soudengay. That gap just from Soudengay to Sanchez is still sitting at about a second and a half, 1.4 seconds right now. So Soudengay seems to have stalled a little bit in that gain. He's running out of time. They got 2 laps to go. They'll be taking the white flag next time by. He's got to get on with it.
Yeah, he's definitely got to make up the ground now if he's going to make it up at all. 1.3 seconds is quite the gap to make up when you're going to be coming to the white flag, but never say never. It's not over yet. Riding on board with Taylor Ballant, speaking of it's not over, this battle has been going on ever since they left the pits. These two drivers have been nose to tail. Now they're trying to change that running order a little bit. Taylor Ballant drove it in very deep, actually got a little bit of a block thrown on him, was not able to complete the move. That's going to cost him a bit of time, although not enough to be really significant. Now into the final corner, they're going to be coming to the white flag this time. One more lap for this season of the American Muscle Series, and Jack Sanchez hoping to end it off on a win as well as his championship. He's got to maintain that second gap. Luke Soudengay going to drive it as hard as he can. He's going to send it into these corners, do everything he knows how to do. You saw him take that very wide entry, trying to really carry momentum through these corners. Textbook set of corners there. He's going to gain about a tenth, but he's going to need more than that.
He's going to absolutely need more than that. Jack Sanchez trying to drive away as much as he can. We have a big battle for third place developing here. Luis Enriquez leading this trio. Evan Hoopchak has managed to hold off Taylor Ballant ever since the pit stop, and we'll see if he's able to continue to do so or maybe set up a move on Luis. Luis has been driving that car really hard all night, so you know that his tires are feeling a little shot. Taylor Ballant going to show the nose as they approach turn 5 and then fall back into line, letting Evan think about that one for just a second. Like, is he going to go? Is he not? Is Evan's going to hang the rear end out just a little bit and fall off the edge of that curve as they make their run up to turn 6. Who's going to get a good run out of this corner? And Taylor Ballant nails it perfectly. This could set him up for the inside run up to the corkscrew, but it looks like Hoopchak is going to play the defensive line here, making that Mustang as wide as possible as they move through the winding run up to the corkscrew. He'll lead through the corkscrew. Ballant is going to have a huge head of steam as they make their way towards a rainy curve. And it's going to be Hoopchak that continues to lead out of those two as Jack Sanchez approaches the final corner of the final lap of the final race of the season. Going to get through there cleanly. It's a 1 whole second back to Luke Soudengay as he's going to weave back and forth across the track to celebrate his win and his second championship in a row here in the American Muscle Series in the Pro Division. Let's jump back to that battle for third. Luis Enriquez comes home third. Evan Hoopchak holds on for 4th position, and not for lack of trying. Taylor Ballant finishes in 5th. Jeff Schnackle is going to win the Challenger division. Mark Cohn is going to win the Amateur division. Phil Keck going to come home in P8. Neil Kemp in P9. We got a battle brewing here between Matthew Gazinda and Dave Moore. They're slicing and they're dicing. Dave Moore's going to come out on top of this for right now. Is it going to stay that way? It looks like he is driving away a little bit, so he manages to get up to the spot. His Czech Lobato's going to go sliding through in victory at the end of the race. He's going to end up finishing in P12. We watch some more drivers come across the line, waiting to see when Dave Moore comes out of that final corner if he'll continue to be leading this battle, and he is indeed going to have the lead. Is he going to have enough fuel to make it? And it looks like he will actually, yes, have enough fuel to cross the line and finish the race. So no Thompson Trophy given out this race. We watched the last of the drivers coming across the line. It looks like Dave Blair's going to finish in a good enough position to secure that championship in the amateur division. We'll wait for the final calculations to come in. Still got a couple more drivers left to cross the line, but what an exciting race.
Yeah, that was definitely something. A lot of the excitement coming from mid-pack. I'm going to be honest with you. 70% of the excitement was just Chuck Lobano. He was in every battle tonight. It was a lot of, but I joke. There was great battles.
Mr. Excitement.
Mr. Excitement, Chuck Lobano. But Great battles all through the field, and even the battle for the lead. It may not have been bumper to bumper, but seeing it fluctuate, it was out to 4 seconds. And I'll tell you, second place, Luke Sudengay gave it his all on that second lap. He brought it, or on that final lap, he brought it down to about a second even, meaning he gained half a second on that last lap. If he had about another 2 laps, it might have been a different result, but it was just too little, too late. Fun for us to watch, disappointing for Sudengay, and very exciting for Jack Sanchez. The win, the championship, he's got it all.
He absolutely does. He's doing a big old burnout there at the start finish line in celebration. We haven't seen him in victory circle here for quite a while, so managing to finish it off in style. Jeff Schnackle going to join him in celebrations as he's going to secure that Challenger Division win. We'll see if Dave Blair also comes up to join them. Not really Dave's style, but he might get up there. We'll see. Waiting for the final calculations to come in. We probably won't get those until after we get the final results here on screen. Mark Cone going to be doing a big burnout, as it's going to be his last race in the amateur division for sure. He would have been promoted already if he hadn't joined at the halfway point of the season. He wasn't really able to affect that championship very much, so we just let him run there in the amateur division. Ryan Campbell gave it the good college try, though, finishing 13th in this race, so he was definitely challenging. And if Schnackle would have had an issue, we would have seen a problem. And it does look like I have the points in, so we should be getting those results displayed on the screen anytime now. Here they come. Your race winner, Jack Sanchez, in the number 1 car with a less than 1 second gap over Luke Sudengay in second. So Sudengay was able to close that gap down even more there in the final lap. Luis Henriquez comes home third despite all that slipping and sliding he was doing all race. Evan Hoopchak holds on to 4th place over Taylor Blant in 5th place. Jeff Schnackle, your Challenger Division winner and Provisional Challenger Division champion, finishes in P6. Mark Cohen is your Amateur Division winner in P7. Phil Keck comes home in P8. Neil Kemp finishes 9th. Dave Finch rounds out your top 10.
And as we wait for the graphics to pop back up, outside of the top 10, Jay Bass just losing a little bit at the tail end of the race. I think that pit cycle caught him off guard, because that result does not show how phenomenally Jay drove tonight in that 53. Big shout out to Mr. Bass. Chuck Labano, Mr. Excitement himself, P12. What a night for that guy. Just absolutely gave it everything. P13, Ryan Campbell. Part of that battle there at the tail end of that race. Aaron That Face Bray, didn't mention him much tonight, but a top 15 for that number 163. Levi Powell going to wind up P15. Freddie Weaver going to be 229 machine in 16th. And you got Charlie Ossie, P17. Bit of an eventful night for that driver, off the track a few times, but ultimately inside the top 20. Ed Sancinelli going to be P18. Running out the top 20, it is going to be David Moore in the 19 and Matthew Gazenda, P20.
P21, Brandon Smith at 22nd, Sam Stoner. Dave Blair, your Provisional Amateur Division champion, finishes in 23rd. Eli Clough, despite getting that drive-through penalty, has a pretty good recovery and finishes in 24th position. Tom Went in 25th. 26th, Jay Little. 27th, Mark Royce. Jeff Bernard going to come home in P28. P29 is going to be Joe Sacchetti, Mike Neekum in 30th. 31st, Stephen Price. 32nd, Scott Brooks. The best Matt Best did come out and drive some laps. Going to finish in 33rd despite hating this track. He comes out and shows up anyway. Andrew Bailing, who we saw have a big lick with the wall, finishes in 34th. Sean Johnson in 35th. Jeff Andrews, who was caught up in that lap 1 incident, finishes in 36th. And then they just ignore the rest of those names. They didn't actually drive. So that is going to be our finishing order, and I can see here on the points sheet that we have for the league that the results for this race have been imported. Jack Sanchez is indeed your Pro Division winner, and he also secured the clean driver. He stole away from Brandon Brush by having such a clean race. I believe he had a completely clean race. He had 1 X, so that was enough. That was enough to give him the clean driver championship. Then we're going to jump over to the Challenger Division, and Jeff Schnackle does indeed win in the Challenger Division. Aaron That Face Bray wins the clean driver there. Dave Blair brings home both titles as well in the Amateur Division, both the championship, his first ever in the Amateur Division, and not his first ever, probably his 8th ever. Clean Driver Award. Mr. Clean, Dave Blair, known for his clean driving. But now that we got that out of the way, we got a few interviews to do and waiting to see. There he is, Jack Sanchez, your race winner, your pro division champion, Jack Sanchez. Jack, did you know coming into this race that you had already secured that pro division championship?
Yeah, mathematically, I was pretty sure that I could crash out of this race and be okay, but I wanted to, make that statement. I've been kind of trying to mess around with some conservative strategies and keeping it interesting, but the last one I just wanted to come give it 110%, and I think I got the first in practice, and then I got pole in the win, so pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it has been a while since we've seen you in Victory Circle, and not for lack of trying. You were always up there in the top 5. It seemed like every race just running very, very consistently. But we've seen a lot of new winners and a lot of people that normally don't win in these races starting to flex some muscles. But good to see you back in here finally at the tail end of the race. So 2 in a row for you. You're the second ever repeat winner of the championship here in the American Muscle Series. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, back-to-back 2-time, all that. I gotta say for sure, shout out to Luis and Luke for putting the screws to me in the last half of the season. I think if they were a little bit more in the front half, that would have been, I would have had to work for it a bit harder. But yeah, no, it feels pretty good.
So what do you think? Is it going to be 3 in a row out of you, Jack Sanchez? Are we going to see another championship? Are you gonna turn into the next Max Verstappen in this league?
Oh, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it takes a lot of energy and time. So, yeah, we'll see how the break goes and how I'm feeling when the next season warms up. And I'll say that if you put in the Portland Raceway, my home track, that might interest me a bit. But yeah.
Well, I got one more piece of good news for you. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. You did also secure the Clean Driver Championship here in the very last race with that 1X run. So congratulations on getting a refund on your entry fee. You'll be able to use that next season when you register. Before we let you go celebrate, though, is there anybody you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to you guys and running the league, and again, Luke and Luis for giving me a fight throughout. Yeah, thanks to my friends and family for watching and hanging in there. And yeah, it's just, it's cool to take both of the pro championships there.
Well, congratulations on the clean sweep here today. Pole, the win, I think fastest lap even, the championship, clean driver. And we'll see you here again in about 12 weeks. See if you can defend it once again.
Oh, right on. Thank you. Take it easy, guys.
That was your Pro Division winner and champion, Jack Sanchez. And Dirt, who have you managed to track down?
Well, I believe we're going to go ahead and pull in Jeff Schnackle here. Challenger Division winner tonight. Mr. Schnackle, you did it again. I don't know how many times we've talked to you in the booth this year, but it's been a phenomenal season for that number 124 Ford Mustang. Tell me a little bit about your race. How were you feeling about Laguna Seca? I know this was a bit of a controversial track among the drivers, but clearly it kind of stuck with you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Laguna isn't a track that I usually do well at, to be completely honest. So I just wanted to try to go out there and have a clean, safe race, and just got lucky in qualifying. Was able to put a lap together and just kind of hung there in the on the fringes of the top 10, and just kind of honestly ran my own race. The top 6 pulled away, so it was just kind of me out there trying to keep Mark Cohn back there at bay.
Yeah, that it did, and it was an interesting race in that we saw a little bit more separation than we usually do. A little bit of lap traffic for these drivers on the track to deal with, and you yourself involved in a few battles. I just got to ask you, what part of this track in particular do you think was the toughest for you personally?
Probably turn 6, that left kink going up the hill, and then the corkscrew. It's just, if you lose momentum in that left kink, you have a horrible run going up there to the corkscrew, and then the corkscrew is just a challenging corner in general. If you're too greedy with the throttle there coming down the hill, you just spin up the rears and get a super slow exit to the long sweeping left. So I'd definitely do the kink, and the corkscrew is definitely the 2 most challenging parts of the track.
Valid answers. Now, Jeff, not only did you get the win, you have secured the Challenger Championship overall. You're going to be progressing into that pro division next season. How do you feel about that?
No, I mean, I definitely open to the challenge. I don't think I'll be talking to you guys as much, if at all, next year. But that's all right. I just have to work on my pace a little bit, and we'll try to at least get top 5, hopefully in pro next year.
I wouldn't count yourself out. You've really been doing phenomenal, working your way up every week, doing a little bit better, and definitely the standout in the challenge division. It's going to be a lot of fun. We look forward to seeing what you can do. Before we let you go, is there any shout outs you'd like to make?
Yeah, shout out to my dogs again. They were hanging out with me up here, and they definitely got me that quality lap for sure. So they helped me get the division win throughout the season. So
absolutely. Well, again, Jeff, thank you for your time. Congratulations on not only the win, but the championship. That is something to be proud of. Every division in this league has some serious competition. So when you come out on top, it's definitely something to remember and something to be proud of. So we'll be seeing you next year with a green plate.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Looking forward to next season.
All right, Challenger champion out of the booth. Not feeling too confident about being a pro, Randall, but I got to disagree. I think you'll be up there.
Yeah, I think once he gets a little bit of that challenge, it'll push him to be just that much faster, and I think he'll rise to the occasion eventually. But now that we've got him out of the way, let's talk to the amateur division winner once again, Mr. Mark Cohn. Tell us what it was like out there battling in the top 10 overall. Don't get used to that amateur tag. You're going to be going into Challenger like in 5 minutes, buddy.
Yeah, I know you guys were joking like a week ago about the amateur drivers going in the top 10, but I did not expect that at all this week. I was struggling so much with this car track combo to try and keep it straight. It was so easy to spin the tires, but then I just got in a flow where everything was working, was doing qualifying lap after qualifying lap. I didn't have quite enough to get to Jeff in front of me, but that was one of the best races I've ever had in my life.
Well, congratulations on the win. Well, if you're racing that good, I think you'll be a good contender in the Challenger division next season. What do you think your chances are going into next season after this really good run on the back half of this season?
Well, anything that's top 5 in that division will be amazing. I know it's going to be way tougher in there, and I don't expect to run like this, tonight every week, but we'll give it our best. If I can finish top 5 week in and week out in that division, that'll be amazing.
Well, before we let you go celebrate yet another amateur division win, I know there's a lot of people you want to thank. Let's get to it. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, you guys at Slow Motion Broadcasting, I love watching these back. Randall, all you guys at AMS, this is really a tightly run operation you guys have going here. Sim Gaming Expo, check them out. Chicago, September, it'll be amazing. Sim Racing Studio, Dewars Taffies and Fine Shoes, Sam Maxwell Custom, Splash and Go Graphics for painting this amazing ride, Nizumi Studios, Sim Lab, my buddies Mark Murphy and Matt Wagner, and Charlie Jose, who's been helping me all season. Thank you all. It's amazing to be here.
Well, congratulations once again, and maybe we'll be talking to you next season in that Challenger division with a win.
Thank you. We'll see, hopefully.
And that's going to round out our interview portions. We got all 3 divisions talked to. I was hoping to see Dave Blair hanging out, but if you're listening, Dave, if you get in here quick enough, we'll talk to you for a minute. After winning that amateur division championship, I know that Dave Blair is going to be exceptionally happy after 8 seasons at trying to win that amateur division title to finally get it secured. But we do have some other things to mention here before we talk about other races that are coming up on Slow Motion Broadcasting. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Mike Neekum, who runs the D-Nut Stuff Etsy shop. He's been basically the only sponsor this league has had for a number of seasons, and he provides us with laser etched trophies for the winners in each division, and has a lot of really cool stuff over on his Etsy shop. Brake mods, pedal mods, AMS swag, anything you can think of. He's probably made it or can make it. So go check out the D Nut Stuff Etsy shop right now. I think hopefully there is a link down in the description. Also, big shout out to Jeremy Ritchie, who has been our in-race steward all season, calling the shots, playing referee for us. Nobody likes the zebra. I like him a lot because he makes my life a lot easier. Thank you so much for helping out this season, Jeremy. Also, a huge shout out to Aaron Bray, who is our point czar. He has got this points thing figured out for us. I gave him some really odd requirements, and he was able to come up with something that works really well. We're able to get the points published very, very quickly and have them ready for the broadcast every week in no time at all. So thank you so much for that help there, Aaron. Thank you to all the drivers that make this league the awesome league that it is. It has been incredible. Andre, I'd also like to thank you for coming back to join us this season, providing a bit of continuity as we switch broadcasters. It's been awesome having you alongside me here in the booth, and it's just made such a great experience for this league across the board. And yeah, we'll be opening up registrations sometime in the future soon, trademark, for season 9. We'll expect to see that here in about 12 or 13 weeks. Come back to you right here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Speaking of Slow Motion Broadcasting, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know every time Slow Motion Broadcasting goes live with more racing action. Speaking of more racing action, we got some more coming up for you. Tuesday nights, we're going to be gone for a while, but Wednesday nights, Ray Esports, their season has already ended. They'll be back in a few weeks. But we do have the Sim Racer group in the F4 on Wednesday nights at 9:45 p.m. Eastern. And then coming up, normally we jump to the weekends. We are going to jump to the weekends here. Saturdays is the weekends is ruled by the Weekend Warriors. Saturdays in the Formula V, Sundays in the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords. Then on Sunday evening, we have Cross Series League Racing, XSLR. They run all 4 disciplines. Check them out on Sunday evenings. And I think we have a new announcement. Is that right, Josh? We have a new league coming to Slow Motion Broadcasting. The IndyCar Championship Series presented by Extreme Racing Scoring, or Extreme Motorsport Scoring, XMS. Check out that coming up on Thursdays. It will be live at 8 p.m. Eastern. They'll be there for qualifying and the race. It is IndyCar on road courses and on oval, so just like the real life IndyCar series. 8 races coming to you on Thursday nights. Be there to check it out. And wow, what a season, Andre. What an absolute banger of a season.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And obviously you and everybody else kind of behind the scenes do a lot of work to make sure that we have a lot of fun races. And I think really the standout of this season for me was just the track selection. We went to so many fun circuits that honestly don't get the spotlight that a lot of other tracks tend to do. And a lot of leagues don't like doing that. They don't like to go into tracks that aren't as popular or as well known. They're afraid. They want to go where everybody knows, everybody has been there a billion times. But the unknown tracks were a lot of fun. And of course, the talent. I mean, all these guys, week in and week out, season in and season out, give us some of the most fun sports car racing that I have seen on this service. And without them and without you guys, it would not be happening. So it was a great season. I'm definitely looking forward to the next one, and just feeling good and happy for all these champions tonight.
And that's going to about just do it for us here for another season of the American Muscle Series. I can't believe we've been around for 8 seasons, but that's season 8. Done, dusted, put a bow on it, ship it, lick the stamp, send it, whatever you got to do. Season 8, we're done with. We'll be back here in about 12 or 13 weeks for season 9. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night. My name's Randall McGrew. I've been joined by Andre Grandbouche. Joshua Wilkie, a big shout out to you. Thank you so much. He's been with us this season and the production hauler. And that's it for us tonight here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again on Wednesday night.